for. So let's go to page 324, page 324. Our sages taught, Rabbi Yitzhak established the mincha prayer, as the Torah says, Isaac went out walking in the field towards evening. The word l'suach also refers to prayer, as the psalmist says, a prayer of the lowly person when he is faint and pours forth his plea, slicha. Late in the afternoon, tired and faint, Isaac wandered in the fields and he opened his heart to God. Do you remember, he said, how I lay on the altar of Moriah long ago? Rabbi Yehuda said, when the knife touched Isaac's neck, his soul flew out of his body in terror. But when the heavenly voice commanded, do not stretch your hand out to hurt the youth, his soul returned, and Isaac stood upon his feet, restored to life. In that moment he declared, blessed be Adonai, who brings life to the dead. At the waning of the day, our father Isaac found himself in prayer, and so may we find ourselves, and you, as we approach the afternoon prayer. As Isaac rose up from the dead, restored to life, may we come forth from this day of Yom Kippur, touched by remembrance of mortality, but full of the joy of life. We turn now to page 328 for Seder Kriyat Torah, the reading of the Torah. All right, so bringing the Torah into our midst, it shall come to pass in the fullness of time when the mountain of the house of God shall be established as the highest mountain and raised above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. Then many people shall say, come, let us go to the mountain of the eternal, to the house of God, the house of Jacob, the God of Jacob. And they shall say, teach us your ways, that we may walk among your paths. We give thanks today for a Torah of life, the way of kindness, mercy, and truth. May compassion be our source of sustenance, as in our people's past. May our souls withstand times of crisis, and our hearts the inclination to evil. May the covenant of Abraham and Sarah strengthen our will to do what is right. And may the qualities of mercy and goodness, love and forgiveness flow through our lives. And let us be strong in a perilous world. Let us open our hearts to the paths of Torah. We go now to page 329. Is there someone who has always dreamed of carrying the Torah in a hakafah? I want to see a hand. There we go. Neil, actually, no, we're going to pick on Sai. Neil, we'll use you in another situation. Come on up here. Please rise. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. U'devar Adonai Yerushalayim. Baruch Shem Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Ve'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo. Gadlu ladniti v'ramemo Shemo Yakav. Come walk with me and let us honor and exalt God's name together. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'ha'tiferet v'ha'netzach. Ki kol hashamayim u'ha'aretz, ki kol hashamayim u'ha'aretz. Adonai, Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam, Olam, Omein. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam, Olam, Omein. Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut hasadim. Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut hasadim. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam, Ha'olam, Omein. Please be seated, everyone. Yes, you may. Thank you. Yasher koach. All right. So, by way of introduction, I want to mention that this is what we read is what is known as the Holiness Code. Modern scholars have outlined, and I think it's accurate, that there are three major core expressions of ancient law in the Torah. The first of them is known as the Covenant Code, which follows after the Ten Commandments. And the second one is this, the Holiness Code, which appears in the middle of the book of Leviticus. And the final one is the Deuteronomic Code, which appears in the book of Deuteronomy. Each one of them, I think, can be arguably said to be a slight revision of what had come before, so they are historically bound. The Holiness Code in particular, however, reflects the perspective of priestly spirituality in ancient Israel. So it is primarily concerned with the question of how does one maintain yourself in a holy posture in order to be able to approach God, because for our priestly ancestors, they believed that maintaining a state of purity, ritual and moral, was really the key to being able to enter into the ancient temple and to participate in its rites. So this has become known as the Holiness Code. And I should also make the historical note that traditionally throughout and into the Middle Ages, what was actually read on this afternoon was not Leviticus 19, but Leviticus 16 through 18, which are all the forbidden sexual relations. So apparently it felt like we needed to be reminded on an annual basis who we shouldn't sleep with. The Reform movement in the 19th century felt a little awkward about that, and so they moved it over to the Holiness Code, which is a very exalted, not that you don't need to be reminded. So if you want to, you can go home and read 16 through 18 yourself, but we went for a slightly more exalted collection of laws, and that's what we're going to be doing. So now, how many people would like to get an Aliyah? We get a count. Richard, and 3, and 4, and 5. Okay, let's see here. I think we'll get 5 out of this. All right, so let's start with Richard. Richard, what's your Hebrew name? Yamod Rafia ben Pinchas Harishon. Come on up. You can use mine. Thank you. Okay, and we're going to go right here.
Baruch hu Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bochar banu mikol ha'amim, v'notan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen.
Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, deber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael va'amarta alehem kiddushin tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo va'aviv tira'u ve'et shavtotai tishmaru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'elohei masecha Lo ta'asu lechem, ani Adonai Elohechem. All right, we're going to stop there. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher notan lanu Torah emet, l'chayim olam notah b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai
Notein haTorah. Amen. Stick around. Actually, I didn't translate it, did I?
No, we did not.
And then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Be holy, for I, Adonai, your God, am holy. A man shall revere his mother and father, and he will keep my Sabbaths. I am Adonai, your God. You should not turn to idol gods or gods manufactured, literally gods, molten gods. You shall not make them for yourself. I am Adonai, your God." Thank you. And stick around.
All right.
Who was second? Was that Marv? Come on up, Marv.
Mordecai Mayer,
Okay. Yamod, Mordechai Meir,
Ben Noach Leib.
Ben Noach Lev Shini. Thank you.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'elam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai
Notein
notein
haTorah. Amen. I'm skipping down about 4 or 5 verses. Uvkutzrechem et katzir artzachem, lo tekalel pa'at shadcha, liksor velechet katzircha, lo telaket ukarmacha, lo tolel feret karmacha, lo tekalel leoni velager ta'azov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo tignovu velo tachachashu v'to shachru ish amito. Stop right there. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'ayim aleinu notah b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai
Notein haTorah. Amen. Step over here. And when you are harvesting your fields of your lands, do not harvest all the way to the corner of your field. Rather, you shall harvest and leave gleanings in your fields. You shall not gather them all. And when it comes to your vineyards, you shall not pick up and gather any additional fruit that falls. Rather, you should leave it, and it will be gleanings for the poor, for the resident alien. You shall leave them, for I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal, nor shall you oppress. You shall not deceive a person of your fellow with a lie or a misrepresentation. And we're going to stop. All right, so who was the third person? Was it George? No, you don't want to? Okay, yeah, come on up. No, nobody wants to deny you the pleasure. All right, so we're right here at the very bottom. All right, go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai, Amarav. Sorry.
Oh, is that, yeah. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach. You got it. Baruch Adonai.
Sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'charu banu mikol ha'haim v'adarat elat erato.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. V'lo yishba'u v'shmi v'shaker. Hilalta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'asoch et re'echa v'lo tigzol. Lo talin peulat saker itcha ad boker. All right, so do not take my name emptily or in vain, or do not swear by my name something false, and desecrate the name of your God. I am Adonai. Do not oppress your neighbor, or I could say exploit your neighbor. Do not, what's the word I want here? Do not be harsh towards him, and do not keep the wages of a wage worker with you until morning.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher netasat Torah emet yivlachem olam bara v'tu. Baruch atah Adonai
noten haTorah. Amen. No, you don't get to leave. You got to go over here. All right. Was that Michael? Michael, you're number 4. And what's your Hebrew name? Michael. Yamod Michael ben Avraham Basara HaRevi. Okay, you got the blessing over there into here. Come on in and touch.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai
Noten haTorah. Amen. Lo tikalel cheresh lifnei iver v'lo tehilun mikshol v'yarita me'elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisa pnei dal v'lo tidar pnei gadol b'tzedek tishpot amitecha. Lo telech rachil v'amecha lo Talmud al dam re'echa ani Adonai. All right. So, all right. You should not curse the deaf, and you should not place a stumbling block before the blind. You should fear your God. I am Adonai. Do not do any perversion in judgment. Do not defer to the poor, nor should you show deference towards the great, but rather you should judge fairly all of my people. Do not go about bearing tales against your people. Do not stand upon the blood of your neighbor. I translate that, generally translate, don't be indifferent towards the suffering of your neighbor. I am Adonai, your God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet. V'haye olam nata betohonenu. Baruch atah Adonai
Noten haTorah. Amen. Step on over. And our final one is Neil. Neil, your Hebrew name? Natan ben Shlomo HaLevi. Yamod. Natan ben Shlomo HaLevi HaChamishi. All right. We're right about here. Yep, go ahead and just use that.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamborak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborak le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu es Toraso. Baruch atah Adonai nosein ha'Torah.
Amen. Lo tisna et achicha b'levavecha chocheach tichoach et amitecha v'lo tisa alav chet lo tikom v'lo titor et b'nei amecha v'ahavta l'reecha kamocha ani Adonai et chotze ani Adonai. Let's stop right there.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu Toras emes v'chayei olam nata b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein ha'Torah.
Amen. You shall not harbor hatred against your brother in your heart. You will surely reprove your people, but you shall not bring sin upon yourself in doing so. You shall not bear a grudge against a person among your people. Rather, you should love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai. All right. So now, who would like the privilege of lifting the Torah? This is an easy one. There's no limitations in size or sex. Who wants to do this? All right, wait, okay, come on up, Star. I saw you first, so. All right, so you want to hold it up so that you can see 3 columns and turn around so that people will be able to see it. Make sure I haven't been cheating. Okay. And everyone please rise. Ready? Go for it. V'zot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai. Come sit down. V'yad Moshe. Come sit over here. Yada da 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 yada. I need a dresser. Becky, come on. Please be seated, everyone. And now we come to our Haftarah, and this is a special treat. I always admire this. We're going to be inviting up Pam Feldman to lead us in the Haftarah reading, a feat of 5 chapters that I couldn't do. That's very impressive. So.
You've jinxed me.
No, not at all. You're impermeable to problem. All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'divrehem hanemorim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vahi devaranoi Elyona ben Amitai lemor kum lech elninde ha'ir hagdola ukra aleha kial tara tam lefanai Vayakam Yona livroach tarshisha milifnei Adonai Vayered Yafo Vimsani Abba Tarshish Vayiten Sachara Vayered Balavo Imahem Tarshisha milifnei Adonai Varanoi Hetil Rakdola El Hayam Vahisa Argadol Bayam Vahania Chishva Lahishaber Vairu Hamalachim Vaizaku Ish El Elohav Vayatilu et hakelim asher bania el hayam lahakel me alechem v'yonah yared el yarkte hasfina vayishkav vayeradam vaikra velav Rav HaChovel Vayomer lo Malacha Nirdam Kum Kara El Elhecha Ulai Yirashet HaElohim Lanu Velo Noved Vayamru Ish El Re'ehu Lechu V'napila Goalot V'neda B'shalmi Hara'ahazot Lanu V'yapilu Goalot V'yipol Hagoral Al Yonah V'amru Elav Hagidana Lanu Ba'asher Lemihara Ahazot Lanu Mamalach Tocha Ume'ayin tavo ma'artzecha ve'emize am'ata v'yomer alehem ivri anochi v'et Adonai Elohei hashamayim ani yareh asher asa et hayam v'et hayabasha v'yiru ha'anashim yira gedolah v'yamru elav mazot asita ki yadu ha'anashim ki milifnei Adonai hu voreach ki higid lahem v'yamru elav mana aselach v'ashtak hayam me'aleinu ki hayam holech v'soer v'yomer alehem sa'uni v'hatiluni el hayam v'ashtak hayam me'alechem ki yodea ani ki v'sheli hasar hagadol haza alechem v'achtru hanashim lahashiv el hayabashavlo yacholu ki hayam holech v'soer alehem Vaikru el Adonai v'yamru Ana Adonai al na'novda v'nefesh ha'ish hazeh v'al titein aleinu dam naki Ki ata Adonai ka'asher chafatzta asita Vayisu et Yonah, Vaitiluhu el hayam, Vaimot hayam mizapo, Vayiru ha'anashim, Yiragadola et Adonai, Vaisbechu sevach l'Adonai, Vaidru nidarim, Vaiman Adonai, Da gadol livloa et Yonah, Vayhi Yonah bimei hadag, Shalosha yamim ushlosha leilot, Vayitpalel Yonah el Adonai Elohav mimei hadaga. Vayomer karati mitzarali el Adonai v'ya'aneni mi beten Shaol Shavati Shemata koli v'tashlicheni mitula bilvav yamim Nahar Yisoveni Kol Mishparecha V'galecha Alaya Varu Vani Amarti Nigrashti Mineged Einecha Ach Osif Lahabit El Heichal Kadshecha Afafuni Mayim Ad Nefesh Tohom Yisoveni Suf Chavush Leroshi Lekitzbe Harim Yarati Haoret Baricheha Va'adi Leolam Batal Mishachat Chayad Adonai Elohai Behitate Falai Nafshi Ad et Adonai Zacharti V'tavo Elecha Tefilati El Heichal Kadshecha Mishamrim Havle Shav Chasdam Ya'azovu Va'ani B'kol Toda Esbachalach Asher Nadarti Ashalema Yeshuata Ladonoi Vayomer Adonai Ladag Vayakeh et Yona el Hayabasha Vayhi Devar Adonai el Yona Shenit Lemor Pum Lech el Ninve Ha'ir Hagdolah Vaikra Eleha et Hakriah Asher Anochi Dover Elecha Vaikam Yonah Vayelech El Ninve Kidvar Adonai Veninve Haita Irgadola Lelohim Mahalach Shaloshet Yamim Vayach El Yonah Lavo Va'ir Mahalach Yom Echad Vaikra Vayamarod Arbaim Yom Veninve Nepachet Vaya Aminu Anshe Ninve Belohim Vaikritzohom Velbeshu Sakim Migdolam Va'ad Katanam Vaigaharavar El Melech Ninve Vaikam Mikiso V'Ya'avir Adarto Me'alav Vayachasak Vayeshev Al Ha'efer Vazek ויאמר בנין ויהי מטעם המלך וגדוליו לאמור, האדם והבהמה, הבקר והצאן, אל יטמאו מאומה, אל יראו, ומים אל ישתו. ויתכסו שקים האדם והבהמה, ויקראו אל אלוהים בחזקה, וישובו איש מדרכו הרעה ומן החמאס אשר בכפיהם, מי יודע ישוב. וניחם האלוהים ושב מחרון אפו ולא נאבד. וירא האלוהים את מעשיהם, כי שבו מדרכם הרעה, וינחם האלוהים על הרעה אשר דיבר לעשות להם ולא עשה. וירא עליונה רעה גדולה, וייחר לו, ויתפלל אל אדוני, ויאמר, אנא אדוני, הלא זה דברי, עד היותי על אדמתי, על כן קידמתי לברוח תרשישה, כי ידעתי כי אתה אל חנון ורחום, ערך אפיים ורב חסד, וניחם על הרעה. ואתה אדוני, קח נא את נפשי ממני, כי טוב מותי מחיי. ויאמר אדוני, ההיטב חרה לך, ויצא יונה מן העיר, וישב מקדם לעיר, ויעש לא שם סוכה, וישב תחתיה בצלת, אשר יראה מה יהיה בעיר, וימן אלוהים קיקיון, ויעל מעל יונה, ויוצל על ראשו, להצילו מרעתו. וישמח יונה על הקיקיון שמחה גדולה, וימן האלוהים תולעת בעלות השחר למחרת, ותח את הקיקיון ויבש, ויהי כזרוח השמש, וימן אלוהים רוח קדים חרישית, ותח השמש על ראש יונה, ותעלך, וישאל את נפשו למות, ויאמר טוב מותי מחיי. ויאמר אלוהים אל יונה, ההיטב חרה לך על הקיקיון. ויאמר היטב חרה לי עד מוות. ויאמר אדוני, אתה חסת על הקיקיון, אשר לא עמדת בו ולא גידלתו, שבין לילה היה ובין לילה אבד, ואני לא אחוז Anin v'ha'ir hagdolah asher yesh ba harbe mishtem ribo Adam asher lo yada Benyamino lismolo uvhema rabba Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim Sadiq b'chol hadarot ha'el haneman ha'omer v'yoseh hamdaber umkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Neman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'nemanim devarecha v'davarecha midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam Ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav. Amen. Rachem al Tzion ki hi beit chayenu v'la'aluvat nefesh toshia bimheira v'yameinu baruch atah Adonai mesameach Tzion v'bivanecha. Amen. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu b'eliyahu hanavi avdecha uv'malchut beit David mishichecha bimheira yavo v'yagel libenu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalu od acherim et kevodo ki v'shem kadshecha nishbata lo shelo yichbe nero le'olam va'ed baruch atah Adonai Magen David. Amen. Al HaTorah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'navim, v'al Yom HaKippurim hazeh, shenatata v'anu Adonai Eloheinu, limchila v'lislicha, u'chapara l'chavod ultifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shemecha b'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed udvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad baruch atah Adonai Melech mochel v'soleach la'avonotenu v'la'avonot amo beit Yisroel uma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana Melech al kol ha'oretz mekadesh Yisroel v'yom ha'kippurim. Amen.
I have to say, I've forgotten, it's only 4 chapters, 5, so I have to withdraw some of these. Oop, lost my page. Yechalelu et Shem Adonai ki nishkav shemo levado. Please rise as we return the Torah to the ark. Otu al eretz v'shamayim v'yaren keren le'amo asidam livnei Please be seated, everyone. Okay, I'm going to invite you to go to page 100, 400, and I think it was 44. So the tradition of the Avodah is actually an interesting one. It creates a narrative that begins at creation and leads us to the temple in ancient Israel and imagining the sacrifices of Yom Kippur as they were done in ancient times. So it's a kind of recreative process, and it's always been one of my favorite features of Yom Kippur afternoon. So we're going to start, and then I'm going to ask people to take over certain readings, all right? So I'm going to start here with Shimon HaTzedek. Shimon HaTzedek was one of the last of the great assembly, and he used to say, upon three things the world stands, upon Torah, holy service, and acts of human kindness. And so it is. Ki veti vet tefillah yikareh b'chol amim. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. So do I have someone who can take the sacred journey of life on page 447 and read it for us? Would you do that? We're going to stand because we're going to open the ark for this. Go for it.
All rise to this call. Kadosh shall you be. Dulled by routine or washed in trivia, assaulted by noise. Can we still hear the ancient voice? Kadosh shall you be, for Kadosh am I, the eternal. Within us, beyond us, the still small voice, urgent, insistent, summons the soul. Kadoshim to you, for Kadosh am I, the eternal. Lift up your deeds, awaken to all, strive for the good, hold fast to the truth. Listen well, family of Israel, the voice still speaks. Become a holy people, Am Kadosh. Bring holiness to earth and live. Here and now, bind yourselves to this journey. Make your life a pilgrimage of service, a sacred ascent. Eternity dwells within you. Join yourselves to the eternal.
Please be seated. And we're going to go to 450. Masa el HaKedusha, 15 steps, 15 songs of ascent in the book of Psalms. To what do they correspond? Our sages used to teach 15 steps led up to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. And on these steps, the Levites stood in trumpets and drums, an orchestra of holiness for the singers of David's Psalms. But others say the exiles sang 15 songs on their journey home. Step by step, they ascended from the rivers of Babylon to the land of Abraham and Sarah. Another view, the 15 Psalms were songs the pilgrims chanted as they climbed the hills of Zion to celebrate sacred seasons with matzah, first fruits, lulav, and etrog. Or perhaps these 15 songs are timeless, speaking to the innermost self, tracing the ascent of God and of every soul. Our bodies dwell upon the earth. Our souls thirst for the living God. Like those who came before us, we seek holy dimensions. Then, as now, 15 steps mark the ascent. Song and prayer, speech and silence. Through Avodah, let us reach the Holy One. Psalm 122, a song of ascent for David. Jerusalem, a place where each is welcome, all belong, for this is the place towards which the people ascend. Ascending towards holiness, Breshit, in the beginning. First step, the holiness of God, Shir Hamalot. Elohecha nachshiti et ani. I lift up my eyes, Psalm 123. May our eyes be open to the presence of the One in all things. Through contemplating the divine, may we ascend towards the holy. Who will read holiness? Please, Becky.
I'm gonna come up because if not. I can't
Yes,
hear
absolutely.
the podcast. So if you are gonna read, come on up. Thank you. Yep. That's what 30 years of marriage gets you, folks. Holiness, it begins with the divine. The mystics of the Kabbalah teach God encompasses all that exists, everything we can ever know, every being the eye discerns, every phenomenon hidden from mind, all dwell within the infinite, the one we call Ein Sof. No separate selves, no you, no I, all divisions are illusion, for all are one within the one, and everything is God. So it is written, together we read, no holiness compares with God. Apart from you, there is nothing. Kadosh, 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 holy, 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 holy in the highest heaven, holy upon the earth, holy forever and ever.
Ruler of the world, I will sing you a song. Where shall I find you? And where shall I not find you? Where I wander, you are there. Where I sojourn, you are there. Only you, always you, 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 you. When I am joyful, it is you. When I am woeful, it is you. Only you, always you, 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 you. East and west, north and south, in all directions, to and fro, in the sky and on the earth, you above and you below. Only you, always you, 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 you. We turn now to the second step, the holiness of creation. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai osei shemayim uva'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from the eternal, maker of heaven and earth. Together, we marvel at the abiding miracle of our existence, the primordial explosion of being and light, our origins in oneness. Through contemplating the mystery of creation, may we ascend towards the holy. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. When God began to create heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void, with darkness over the face of the deep and a wind from God sweeping over the water, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Oneness is grounded in scientific reality. We are made from the same stuff of all creation. Everything that is, was, or will be started off together in one infinitesimal point, the cosmic seed. Life has since branched out, but this should not blind us to its underlying unity. The Netzkir Rebbe said, "To every one of us, creation comes as a new thing again and again, and so we are bound to acknowledge the Creator again and again." We turn now to the second step? Did I miss one? Nope, that's it, holiness creation. Third step on page 460. Nafshi le'odnai mishkarim leboker. I am more eager for the eternal than a watchman for the morning. Through celebration of Shabbat and festivals, may we ascend towards the heaven. V'chulila shemayim va'aretz and kol zva'am. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that had been done, and God blessed the seventh day and declared it holiness. Holiness entered the world as God's final gift to creation, Shabbat, first taste of sacred time, a festival whose name is cessation, renewing the body and restoring the spirit. Island of stillness, a day of detachment from things, instruments, and practical affairs. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but on the seventh day is a day of Sabbath for the eternal, your God. Could I get someone who would read Meditations on 461? Aha, come on up, Doctor.
For our ancestors, the seventh day was a sign of their covenant with God. They kept it faithfully. When their lives were torn by violence from without, Shabbat made them whole from within. When their lives were embittered, Shabbat brought them together with sweetness. When their lives were peaceful, Shabbat deepened their joy. Our ways were not like theirs. We have leisure time, retreats and vacations, idle days, but few Sabbaths. We speak many words, but few that remind us of the covenant. We praise proficiency at time management, but forget the holiness of the moment. Let us emerge from the Sabbath of Sabbaths, renewed in our quest for wholeness, reawakened to the urgent beauty of being present in a God-filled world. Let us crown the seventh day by living it, by tasting its sweetness, by feeling its joy, by opening ourselves to it in awe.
The fourth step, Shir Malot, a song of ascents. Suidechem Kodesh, uvarchem et Adonai. Lift up your hands to the sanctuary and bless the Eternal. By remembering the Mishkan and the temple, we ascend towards holiness. Holiness, it entered the life of the Jewish people through the priests and their sacred service at God's altars. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachiti b'tocham, forgive me. Say to the Holy One said to Moses, let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell in their midst. Long ago, in a temple in the wilderness, in the temples in Jerusalem, our ancestors reached for God through sacrificial service, with bulls and goats and sheep, with grain and wine and oil. Say to the Israelite people, these are the offerings by fire that you shall present to the Eternal. I'm going to ask, is there someone who will read my tithe, a psalm? Come on up, Richard.
My tithe, a psalm. How to explain this impulse to bring to an altar some gift or tithe? I am by now so settled into my land of uncertainty, reticent about religion, ambivalent about faith, and yet I cannot help but wonder, is it too late to turn my place of doubt into a sanctuary of hope? Find within myself a song of praise, a few plain words of thanks? For what? For the freedom to think my own thoughts? For the feeling of awe when I gaze at the night sky? For the capacity of the human mind to reflect on the universe? Perhaps then there is no need to explain. Let my thoughts be my gift. Let the search for truth be my tithe. And let awe bring me to the places where holiness dwells.
Page 466. Edut. What gave the tabernacle and the temple their holiness? Each was created as a place to bear witness to the divine. On this our faith is founded. God is boundless, ever present, unseen by eye, a small still voice having neither body, form, nor image. God can be praised in all places, encountered anywhere, and yet we have built sanctuaries to praise the ineffable and contain our experience of the uncontainable. You are my witnesses, Atem Edai, declares Adonai. Through tabernacle and temple, our people witness God's presence. There they testified to a divine reality and affirmed that a meeting place with God is possible. There they created holy space in which to ground and give structure to their spiritual yearnings and insights. And there they expressed through signs and symbols their belief that that human beings can create in this world a direct connection with God. They were created to bring light into the world. Or when human beings build a house, they make it with windows that are narrow on the outside and broad within, so the light may enter outside and illumine the interior. King Solomon, however, who built the temple, did not do it in this manner, but made the windows that were narrow on the inside and broad on the outside, so that the light might go forth from the temple and shine outside. Baruch atah Adonai hashochen b'tochenu b'kiddusha. Blessed are you, eternal God, who dwells among us in holiness. Fifth step, Yom Kippur, Shir Hamalot. El Adonai batzrotecha li karati v'yan neinenu. To the eternal I called in my distress, and God responded to me. By recalling our people's ancient rites of Yom Kippur, may we ascend towards the holy. Dawn on the holy day. The morning horizon glowed before the gaze of the watchmen as they spread a curtain of linen to give the high priest privacy. He removed his clothing and immersed in the mikveh, the first of 5 baths, and then he dressed himself in garments of gold, and he stood in a state of holiness to begin the first offering. He kindled incense and lamps and brought forth sacrifice and libation. Having bathed again, he wore a white robe, an exquisite garment meant to serve the sovereign of glory. Would someone read our sages teach? Please, come on up.
Our sages teach. There are 70 peoples in the world. Among these holy peoples is the people of Israel. The holiest of the people of Israel was the tribe of Levi. The holiest in the tribe of Levi were the priests. The holiest among the priests was the high priest. The world God made is holy. Among the holy lands in the world is the holy land of Israel. The holiest city in the land of Israel is Jerusalem. The holiest place in Jerusalem was the temple, and the holiest place in the temple was the Holy of Holies. Among the days of the year, the festivals are holy. Higher than the festivals is the holy Sabbath. The holiest Sabbath, the Sabbath of Sabbaths, is Yom Kippur. There are 70 languages in the world. Among the holy languages is Hebrew. The holiest words in Hebrew are the words of the Torah. The holiest utterances in the Torah are the 10 Commandments, and the holiest word in the 10 Commandments is the name of God. One word on the lips of one person in one place at one moment brought together these 4 dimensions of the holy. When the high priest would enter the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur and utter the name of God. Baruch atah Adonai mekaber lanu bayom haKippurim. Blessed are you, eternal presence, who leads us to atonement on this holy day.
The 6th step, the act of confession, a song of ascents. Yehu yifdei et Israel mikol avonotav. The Eternal will redeem us from all of our moral failures. Through sincere confession, offered in humility, may we ascend towards the holy. Within the Holy of Holies, the high priest spoke words of confession, first for himself and his family, and then for the priests who served at his side, and finally for the whole community. His hands on the head of a bull, he confessed all their sins and his own. Nothing was concealed in his heart. And quietly he spoke the 4 letters that form God's name, quietly so that none would hear. For the holiest name was known only to him. Pure and holy were the high priest's confession, a ladder for the soul seeking atonement. Who will read the high priest's confession? Jeff, come on up.
The High Priest's Confession. God, I plead before you. We have sinned, we have done wrong, we have rebelled against you. My family and I, the community of priests and the whole house of Israel, I beseech you by your name, grant atonement for the sins, the wrongs, and the acts of rebellion that we have committed against you. My family and I, the community of priests and the whole house of Israel, as it is written in the Torah of your servant Moses. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs and pure your soul in the presence of the Eternal. After the priest pronounced the name of God, the people bowed and knelt and touched their heads to the ground, saying, Baruch Hashem Kibod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Step 7, Yachel Yisrael El Adonai, Ki'im Adonai HaChesed, V'charbe Imo Defudut. Let Israel put its hope in God, and for with you is a storehouse of kindness, and the Holy One redemption abounds. Through generous acts of self-sacrifice, may we ascend towards the holy. The ritual of the two goats. After the first confession, the high priest walked to the east, where two goats, alike in height and appearance, stood bound together in the holy temple courtyard, bound there for the sake of atonement. And the priest cast golden lots, lifted one from the box and lowered it to disdain one goat for God high above, and the other for the high cliff mountain. A sin offering to God, he cried, and he tied crimson wool to the head of the goat to be sent into the wilderness. Our gift to God is neither a scapegoat nor a sin offering, but an offering of heart and soul. Our gift is a vision of how we should be lived, how life should be lived. Our offerings are unselfishness and strength, generosity, and service to others. And so let's see, Vicki, would you like to come up and read for nearness of God? I saw your hand up earlier. 475, the nearness of God.
The nearness of God, the priest and the Levites felt it when offering to Korban. Nearness came throughout the sacrifice and the thanksgiving psalm, and our people's poets felt it in their dreams and return. And the ones who crafted songs of exile far from the sweet city for which they longed, and what of us when we feel the nearness? What is our Korban, the nearness of God? It comes through acts of goodness, deeds of self-sacrifice. When we give of ourselves in selfless ways, it comes when we hear truly those who cry out.
We turn now to the 8th step, Jewish memory, 478. Az yomru v'goyim, higdil Adonai la'asot imele. And they shall say among the nations, the Eternal has done great things for them. Inspired by Jewish memory and rooted in the history of our people, may we ascend towards the holy. Precious is the light by which we gaze upon the past, and blessed are the journeys of those who came before us. Abraham and Sarah left familiar ways, went forth to places they did not know. Moses and Miriam led the people from fear to faith through a wilderness of doubt. Blessed is the wisdom of sages and prophets who taught our ancestors the life of holiness. You shall not oppress a stranger. You shall know the heart of a stranger. Let justice well up like waters and righteousness like an unfailing stream. You must not remain indifferent. Love your neighbor as yourself. Out of violence and brokenness came prayers of healing, a religion of renewal, joy, and compassion. Our gratitude for Jewish memory. Who will read that? Please.
Our gratitude for Jewish memory. Happy the eye that witnessed the ways of old, the majesty of the temple, the joyful shouts of pilgrims in Jerusalem. Grateful are we for the gift of memory come alive. Happy the eye that witnessed the celebrations of our people's soul. Blessed the ear that heard the hush when the high priest entered the Holy of Holies. Grateful are we for the blessing of memory come alive. Happy the eye that witnessed the piety of priests who made the offerings by fire. Blessed the ear that heard the fiery words and the searing cries of prophets. Grateful are we for the miracle of memory come alive. Happy the eye that witnessed the throngs at the gates of the holy city. Blessed the ear that heard the psalms, the ancient songs that renew our days as of old.
Page 483, the ninth step, building a world of holy places. Shir Hamalot. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Behold, how sweet and pleasant it is, as dwelling of brothers and sisters who live together as one. With every Jewish home we create, with every synagogue we build and sustain, may we ascend towards the holy. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. But will God really dwell on earth? Even the heavens to the utmost reaches cannot contain you. How much less this house that I have built? Solomon's temple ended long ago, left in ruins by the army of Babylon, and the second temple, burned by the Roman, is now a distant memory. So where is God's dwelling place now? Said the prophet Ezekiel, God has become for Israel a mikdash ma'at, a diminished sanctuary, after the fall of Jerusalem and the scattering of our people. Who would read to devotion? Come on up, Deb.
To devotion. To devotion, God set no limits, and to dedication of the Spirit, God set no limits. But great quantities of tribute God did not demand, and the people were restrained from bringing too much gold for the tabernacle. Though the temples of Solomon and Herod were far more costly, it is written that the divine presence was found more constantly in the humbler structure. To dedicate the Spirit to God is more difficult than to give money. To devote the whole heart to the eternal is more difficult than bringing gifts. Not because of the gold on the walls does the light of the sanctuary shine forth, but because of the Spirit within. Those who worship carry away with them more than they bring, for they find there the light to illumine their lives.
Baruch atah
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu levanot b'kedash mayat. Blessed are you, eternal presence, by whose power we sanctify life when we build small sanctuaries, Jewish homes, and synagogues.
The holiness of Torah study, 10th step. Lo hilchati v'got luvlina mimeni. I do not aspire to great things or what is beyond me. I have taught myself to be content. Through the words of Torah, through deeds of Torah, may we ascend towards the holy. Our sages teach, so bright was the light on the first day of creation that it shone from one end of the world to another. Could such light not coexist with the darkness of evil? So God concealed this holy light and hid it away. And where is that light today? The Holy One concealed it in the holy book, and those who study Torah will bring forth its radiant sparks. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai received the tradition from Hillel and Shammai, and he used to say, if you have learned much Torah, do not hold yourself in high esteem, because that is what you were created to do. So I am going to ask for someone to read, Give Ear, O Heaven, and Hear Me Speak. Joanne? Page 488.
Together, please. Give ear, O heavens, let me speak. Let the earth hear the words I utter. May my discourse come down as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, like showers on young growth, like droplets in the grass. Rain exists forever, so too words of Torah endure. Dew delights the earth, so too words of Torah delight those who study. Showers give young plants their special traits, color, height, and blossoms. So too words of Torah cultivate human virtues, kindness, compassion, and piety. Tiny droplets revive a fading flower. So too words of Torah refresh the soul, awakening mind and heart. No one knows when rain will come until it falls upon the earth. So too, no one knows a Torah teacher's skill until the student's life unfolds. Rain bestows upon each fruit its own specific taste: olive, carob, grape, and fig. So too, each Torah teaching is unique in form, codes and commandments, legend and lore. Rain is pure and washes everything on which it falls. So too, words of Torah wash away sin and make atonement for our errors and our wrongs. Baruch atah Adonai, notem haTorah. Blessed are you, eternal presence, who places Torah at the heart of existence.
11th step, holiness through prayer. Shir Hamalot. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai me'ata v'ad olam. Israel yearn for God from now until the end of time. Through prayers of praise and thanks, when we humbly ask for your help, may we ascend towards the holy. If you obey the mitzvot I've enjoined upon you this day, loving the eternal your God and serving God with all your heart. What is the service of the heart? It is prayer. When a person, overwhelmed by the impact of a specific experience, seeks the nearness of God, or bursts forth in a hallelujah, or bowed down in gratitude, it is a prayer, but not service of God yet. It is a human response to a potential stimulus. But when we pray without the stimulus of a specific occasion, acknowledge that we are always dependent on God, and that independently of all personal experiences, God is always to be praised and to be thanked, then and only then is prayer divine service of the heart. So who will read spontaneous prayer? Come on up, Michael.
Spontaneous prayer is born out of the need of the moment. Prescribed prayer teaches us to feel a need we might not otherwise feel. Whether our prayers are rooted in ancient tradition or arise as outpourings of the heart, they reveal a world of wonders. Prayer is meaningless unless it is subversive, unless it seeks to overthrow and ruin the pyramids of callousness, hatred, opportunism, falsehoods. How is it that those who pray and those who do not pray live thoroughly different lives? It is because the time devoted to prayer makes an impression upon every aspect of the day. To be able to pray is to know how to stand still and to dwell upon a word. This is how some worshipers of the past would act. They would repeat the same word many times because they loved and cherished it so much that they could not part with it. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu ahat tefillah. Blessed are you, eternal presence, by whose power we experience holiness through prayer. Amen.
The 12th step. Ketal Chemon Shered al Harei Zion, like the dew of Hermon that falls on Zion, there the eternal ordained blessing, everlasting life. We contemplate the sacred depths of nature, its elegant designs, its intricate patterns. Through the mystery and beauty of the natural world, we ascend towards the holy. Excited, my thoughts give rise to a vision, your marvels, which I see with the eye of my heart, your wonders, when towards heaven I gaze, inspired to speak of your handiwork. Who will share with us God's acrostic? Neil?
What if the universe is God's acrostic? He's sneaking bits of proverbs into seismic variations, abbreviating psalms and flecks of snow. Try to read them, says a comet, if you dare. Fine print, what you've been waiting for. Twisted in the DNA of marmosets, hermetic feedback to your tight-lipped prayer. Examine indentations left by hailstones in the grass. Unearth their parallel soliloquies. Note too the shifting patterns of cuneiform initiating each communication. Verify them. Don't take my word. Eavesdrop on the planets in the outer spheres. They can reverse the letter's previous direction. Silence, as you might imagine, has no bearing here. Episodes of stillness, however brief, must be interpreted as unheard. Sounds. Gaps that, with any luck, you'll fill in later, or so you'll tell yourself, acknowledging delusion's primal status in this enterprise. Still, that's no reason to slow down. Abandonments are howling out around you. Cast off lamentations from the thwarted drops of rain, reduced to vapor on their struggle down. Observe at the very least their passing, sanctify them, don't succumb to anything less vivid than a spelled out invitation to a not yet formulated nebula. Calm yourself, come quickly, welcome home. Baruch atah Adonai hapokeach einu lifanos teva.
Blessed are you, eternal presence, who opens our eyes to the wonder and power of nature. Step 13. Who will join me up here? Oh, think about it. Shir Hamalot, a song of ascents. Eshtecha kedgefen porea keyatzke vetecha. Your beloved shall be like a fruitful vine at the center of your home, your children like your olive trees planted about your table. Our love and devotion to the next generation inspire us with hope for the future. Through nurturing the young, may we ascend towards the holy. Holiness of children, a gift for us all, a treasure to celebrate, a responsibility that we share, each of us, a spiritual parent, a giver of Torah, a source of love and nurture. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel, like palm groves that stretch out, like gardens that become a river. Ask the Midrash, what is the meaning of the verse, like gardens beside a river? These are the teachers of young children who bring forth wisdom and understanding from their hearts. All who share learning and love and cultivate generations to come bring beauty to the places where Israel dwells. Are we getting a little exhausted? I'll keep going. A mother's prayer before dawn. As I stand cooking the fine-grained cereal, removed from me all manner of forbidden thoughts, and as I touch my baby's body to measure his fever, may all manner of cares leave me and not trouble my thoughts, and give me the courage to purify my face so that all my children can see their face in my face, as a face washed for the holiday in a mirror. And the darkness deep within my face cover with light, so that I don't lose patience and that my throat is never hoarse from a struggling and thickening cry, so that I'm not helpless before the unknown, so that nothing will prevent me even for a moment the contact of flesh between me and my children. Instill in me your love so that I can stand at the entrance of my home and distribute it as simply as one slices bread and spreads the butter each morning. Anew, the aroma of flowing, boiling milk and the smell of coffee covering over the thanksgiving and daily sacrifices that I know not how to offer. Bottom of the page, Baruch atah Adonai honotea b'tochenu b'ahava v'tikva. Praised are you, eternal God, who implanted within us love and hope for the future. 14th step, finding hope through joy. Hazorim badima verina yiksoru. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Through joy and exultation, may we ascend towards the holy. Serve the eternal through celebration, encounter God's presence in joyful song. Each of us is called to a life of service or avodah that is rooted in joy and celebration and leads to thanksgiving, praise, and loving kindness. Jewish tradition teaches that such a life is the source of true simcha, the feeling of constant spiritual and moral growth, which endures in spite of external events and circumstances. Serving God with our very lives should not be a burden. We are summoned to serve with gladness, not fear, and to serve beyond the walls of the synagogue, in our home, in the streets, in workplaces, and in marketplaces, in all of our encounters. When we serve God in our everyday lives, a steady joy dwells in our heart and will accompany us when we enter the house of the eternal. 503. We fulfill the mitzvah of joy in both material and spiritual ways when we buy something we enjoy. We purchase the food or clothing, for example, or when we bring happiness to others on holy days, especially those in need. But if one enjoys oneself in excess while ignoring the poor, it is considered simhat hakares, happiness of the stomach, pure physical gratification. The mitzvah of joy is the expression of holiness, for it brings the realization that we are in God's presence. The Talmud uses the same language to describe the state of mind of the prophets. The divine presence is not found where there is a state of sorrow, but rather through simcha shel mitzvah, the joy of a commandment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al hasimcha. Blessed are you, eternal presence, by whose power we experience holiness through joy. And now we come to see ourselves in step 15 as holy vessels. Im etain shenat anai lefafai tenuma. I will not allow my eyes to sleep until I find a place for you, a tabernacle for the invisible strength of Jacob. Seeing ourselves as vessels of holiness, performing acts of courage and compassion, may we ascend towards the holy. You shall be to me a community of peace, priests, a holy people. How shall I meet the eternal and bow in worship before God on high? Shall I approach God with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Would the eternal be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sins of my soul? You who are mortal, God has taught you what is good and what the eternal requires of you. Only this, to do justice, to love goodness, and to walk humbly with your God. To do justice, to love goodness, and walk humbly with this God. What does this verse imply? Taught Rabbi Eliezer, to do justice means to act in accordance with the principles of justice. To love goodness means let your actions be guided by the principles of loving kindness. To walk humbly with your God means to assist needy families with their funerals and their weddings, And Rashi taught further to give modestly in private to help them meet their expenses. Whoever performs deeds of righteous giving, tzedakah, and justice is considered to have filled the entire world, all of it, with loving kindness. Page 507. Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish taught, at the time when the temple stood, the altar used to make atonement for us. Now our tables make atonement for us. And Rashi taught further. Our tables make atonement for us when we welcome guests to our table through the mitzvah of hospitality, hachnasat orchin. And our tradition teaches all who are hungry, let them come and eat. All who are needy, let them come and find a place at our table. Why distinguish between the two? Are the hungry and the needy not the same? There are many kinds of hunger, many dimensions of need. Some hunger for companionship. They crave respect, affection, a sense of belonging. Many souls starve for lack of meaning and purpose. Some speak without being heard. They need strength of spirit in their isolation. Others are in pain that goes unnoticed, unseen. They need kindness and attention from one who understands. Let us give nourishment according to the hunger. Let us give sustenance according to the need. So may we see ourselves as vessels of holiness. May every place we find ourselves be an altar where we serve. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, l'tanu lirot et ha'atzmenu michol kodesh. Blessed are you, eternal our God, by whose power we sanctify life, when we see ourselves as vessels of holiness. Renew us on this day. Truly, how splendid a sight it was when the high priest came forth in peace from the Holy of Holies. Renew us this day through memory, the gift of imagination. Like a tent stretched out across the sky, so too the robe of the Kohen Gadol. Renew us to praise with song and prayer, reverent service of the heart. Like a rainbow wrapped in a cloud of cloth, so too the light of the Kohen Gadol. Light our eyes to nature's mosaic and our ears to music of amazement. Like a rose when it opens to the light, so too the outstretched hands of the Kohen Gadol. Renew us each with wonder, infinite wellspring of the soul. Like the brightness of stars in the eastern sky, so too was the face of the Kohen Gadol. Open up for us realms beyond, in worlds of insight and discovery. And like glimmering lamplight through curtained pane, so too the glow of the Kohen Gadol. Renew with us the warmth of home, the bonds of love, the shelter of belonging. Like a tender lily surrounded by thorns, so too the spirit of the Kohen Gadol. Renew us like dew in the morning, fresh leaves in the spring, and like radiant sunrise on a dark horizon, so too the heart of the Kohen Gadol. Lead us to freedom with strife, shalom, and the dawning of peace. And with that, we're going to conclude our Avodah service. It's now 2:00, and we will be reconvening at 6 for our Yisker and for our Ne'ilah service to close out. Hopefully we'll be done around 7:30. If anyone would like to stick around further in the temple, I can do a Torah study with you. I have something in mind. So I welcome those who would like to remain a little longer. But otherwise, go home and take a Yom Kippur nap.